What is going on YouTube? It is your boy MrBaboon back with a reaction video. This time we have the Aztec Ballgame where the losers were sacrificed. Uploaded by Simple History. We're going to react to this, watch this, learn about this, you know what I'm saying, like usual. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you guys are new. Check the description, video and channel link will be there. Let me get a drink real fast. So, we're going to learn about this. It's going to be fun to learn about. I got this video and another video to do. And these will be coming out Saturday and Sunday probably. So, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you guys are new. So, I think without that being said, let's go and jump into it.
This episode is brought to you by the Great Courses Plus.
Okay.
Enjoy lectures from top professors from around the world. Click on the link in the description below to start your free trial.
Yeah, this was uploaded to you.
Trial today. The Aztec Ballgame where the losers were sacrificed. The Mesoamerican Ballgame is an ancient sport dating back to 1600 BC. Played by most pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican civilizations, particularly the Mayas and Aztecs. Given its age and widespread adoption across the Central American region, the sport has known many variations and ritual functions over the centuries. It also has several names. The Aztecs called it Oyamalitzli. The Mayans called it Pitz, while the Spanish called it El Juego de Pelota Mesoamericano, meaning the Mesoamerican Ballgame. The Spanish also mistakenly used the Nahuatl term Tlachtli to describe the game, though the Aztecs only used the word in reference to the court. It's not entirely known where the ball game originated, though it's likely it came from the low-lying tropical regions of modern-day Mexico and Guatemala, where rubber trees grow. Over 1,000 archaeological remains of courts have survived in most of the region's major ancient cities. The courts are usually near the city's main temples, a testament to the game's civic and political importance. These enormous masonry courts were commonly built in a capital I shape. They varied tremendously in size, but were at least 100 feet long and 20 feet wide. The central alley was flanked by two high walls. These were vertical or sloped. In the end zones, the space was commonly closed by thick low walls or temples. The earliest classical courts, however, were left open-ended. The game was played using a heavy rubber ball. When the Spaniards came across the sport in the 16th century, the Aztecs were playing with balls weighing almost 6.5 pounds. That's over 6 times the weight of an average soccer ball. Though the size could vary across time and region, painful bruises were just a routine part of the sport. Hematomas were often so severe that they had to be drained, and a hit to the stomach or head could be fatal. Spanish chroniclers were particularly impressed by the bounce and elasticity of the ball, kept in play thanks to the great walls of the court. The Mesoamerican peoples used latex sap from lowland rubber trees mixed in with the vine of an American species of morning glory. Together, this formed a resilient rubber used to make the ball.
Shit. I mean, that's pretty cool, though.
FanDuel Casino's Play It Again offer, new customers can win even if they don't win during their first...
That's pretty cool.
The southern province of Tochtepec was required to produce 16,000 rubber balls every year for the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan. The origins of this tribute are unknown, but we know that it would have required a tremendous amount of manual labor. A rubber tree only produces about 3 pounds of rubber, less than half of what's needed for a single ball. So the people of Tochtepec would have needed to gather the sap from about 50,000 trees. Leading the tribute would have required an army of workers and entire forests cut down.
Damn.
Finally, the 16,000 balls weighing over 100,000 pounds had to be carried about 200 miles to Tenochtitlan. It's unlikely this was all done in one go, though. Before we discuss what made the sport so important to Mesoamerican civilizations, let's look at the rules. These varied significantly depending on time and place, and it's almost impossible to know all of them. However, among the many variations, some common trends emerge. The game was played by 2 opposing teams, each made up of 2 to 4 players, though other findings put it at 5 to 8. Most commonly, the ball was kept in the air using the hip and posterior. However, the use of rackets, bats, handstones, and the shoulder, elbow, head, thigh, knee, and forearm has also been recorded in different cities and eras. Except for serves, use of the hand was almost always penalized. The idea was to keep the ball in play, either in the air or simply moving, depending on the size of the court and, of course, location and era.
Okay.
We know that it was a very brutal game, played aggressively with a lot of diving onto the hard floor with the heavy solid ball regularly striking the players. There were several ways of scoring points.
Damn.
These included failure to return the ball, hitting it out of bounds, making the ball land in the opponent's end zone, and hitting certain markers that dotted the court. A final way of scoring points was to shoot the ball through the raised rings that were fixed on both of the central walls. The hoops were a post-classical Maya innovation from the 10th century AD and would later infiltrate to the Toltec and Aztec civilizations. The hoops also delineated the court into camps, divided by a black or green line that stretched from the foot of one hoop to the other. Shooting the hoop was not an effortless task. The rings were so small that they only just allowed for the ball to pass by a few inches. They were also fixed way above the players' heads. The rings at the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza, in modern-day Yucatan, for example, were almost 20 feet high. For a sense of scale, a standard basketball hoop is fixed 10 feet above the ground. For these reasons, shooting this heavy ball into the goal was extremely rare. Add to that the prohibited use of hands, and it seems almost impossible. Most games were therefore won on the other point-scoring rules. If achieved, though, shooting the hoop could end the game in the scoring team's favor. The rules for ending the game are unclear, and no doubt varied substantially. One variation states that a game was won when the ball hit the ground in the opponent's camp. This would likely have been for smaller courts, one that would have allowed the ball to stay in the air for longer periods of time, using the walls to support this playstyle. In this version, scoring points would have happened with no interruptions to the game. Another version of the game was one when the opponent allowed the ball to stop moving and fall still in the opposite camp. This was likely played on larger courts. Both versions would have been extremely laborious. Professional ball players made a living through noble patronage and victory prizes, while the noble classes, including warriors, would have also been expected to play the game. The game made a great civic spectacle. The games were not on the same scale as Roman gladiatorial combat or the ancient Greek Olympic Games, but they were socially, politically, and religiously important to most Mesoamerican cities. The walls of the court were often elaborately colored, and the stonework featured intricate carvings. These would have been sources of pride for the city, designed to be admired by any who were invited to the spectacle. The ball game was used for various political means. It was sometimes used to settle disputes between different clans. Rather than going to war, rulers could just play ball. The 16th century Aztec emperor Axayacatl.
I like that, honestly. Rather than them going to war, they just, you know what I mean, hop up into a game of that. But sadly, I'm pretty sure the loser still gotta be sacrificed. That's what I'm guessing, you know?
Allegedly played Huitlamoc, the chief of the Xochimilco people, wagering his annual income against huge portions of his rival's land. Betting was very common. On most occasions, people, particularly the urban elite, gambled from the twin masonry stands on either side of the court. Gems, land, slaves, mistresses, and even children were gambled away during the festive events. Players occasionally wore a ceremonial-like elaborate headdress with feathers, though deerskin loincloths and skirts appeared to be the most common, often with leather hip guards. Leather and wooden padding for the knees, chest, and arms were also used alongside helmets, depending.
Thinking about it, like, this ball, it does weigh, what, like 6 pounds, some shit like that, something like that. It's some on the lines of that, right? So, they hit you in the stomach, the face, fucking hit you in the funny bone. Imagine that, getting hit in the funny bone with that. Like, it's definitely crazy, though. But, the whole losers gotta get sacrificed.
On the era and civilization.
Look crazy.
Accept more types of payments with PayPal and reach customers online, in-store, and on the go.
Father and Lord, on the night of June 4th, you performed an exorcism without approval.
Towards the post-classical period, ritual sacrifice was added to the game in the Mayan world, which then spread across to the Aztecs. The Mayas even featured the ball game in a creation myth from the Popol Vuh, a text recounting the mythology and history of the K'iche' people.
So the losers definitely was sacrificed. So, keep that in mind if you lose. You know, like, you lose, you gotta get sacrificed. It's just, I'm sorry, Jimmy. It's just how the rules go, Jimmy. But, come on, bro. We know each other for a couple years. Can you make an exception? I try. Let me see what I can do. The game's over. Next thing you know. You know, one side won, the other one. I thought you said you make an exception. Yeah, it turns out it was either you or me. Sorry. You know, imagine that shit, how that was, like, you know, imagine if that's how it went like that sometimes.
Though the story has several variations. One is that hero twins were playing the game when their noise disturbed the Lords of Death. The Lords then summoned the twins into the Mayan underworld called Xibalba, but the twins outfoxed the 12 Lords and the challenges they set. They could resurrect their father and uncle whom the Lords had killed and buried in a ball court, and had them merge to become the gods of Maize. The twins themselves would rise to the celestial realms and form the sun and the moon. From this, the ball game was depicted as combat between the gods of death and affliction against their earthly adversaries. It was a duel between life and death, or good versus evil. The ball might have symbolized the sun passing between the underworld and the heavens, represented, of course, by both camps. The court became associated with fertility and rebirth, and blood was ritually spilled to nourish the god of maize. The Aztecs had a slightly different take on the game's sacred component. The game was a duel between day and night. One side represented the sun god, Huitzilopochtli, while the others represented the moon and stars, or the goddess Coyolxauhqui and Coatlicue 400 sons. It's unclear exactly how much the sacred component of the ball game trumped over its adoption as a popular sport. Once again, this would have significant variation across Mesoamerica. Given the Aztecs' track record for human sacrifice, it might have been an important festival, most likely in spring and autumn. The equinoxes in March and September were possibly celebrated with a ball game, both in Mayan and Aztec societies. Sacrificial victims have been documented, including defeated noble players, coaches, and sometimes entire teams. Some historians believe that it was common practice for the losing team to be publicly decapitated after the game, given the honor of shedding blood for the gods of the sun, rain, agriculture, and fertility. Sometimes a section or the entire winning team were sacrificed. At Chichen Itza, there is even evidence that players used the severed head of a sacrificial victim to evoke mastery and control over the cosmic order. It has been suggested that the losing team sacrificed skulls or whole heads were used as balls. If true, it would have likely served a ritualistic purpose. Whichever form the ball game best served the society in which it was played, Ollamalintzli and Pitz made up a huge part of Mesoamerican political and cultural life. With the Spanish conquest, the game's widespread adoption suffered a gradual decline, in part because the new masters saw it as barbaric. But it did not go extinct. Today it is known as Ulama or Poctapoc, and has survived in various indigenous communities of Mexico. Though the courts are more modest and the game's outcome is less bloody, the ball game has kept many of its characteristics, and the players who take part strive to preserve their ancestors' legacy, one of the oldest sports in human civilization.
That's crazy though. One of the oldest
We'd like to extend a shout out to
That's it for the video. But I mean, like, one of the... Excuse me. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Shit. I mean, oh yeah, okay. I know what I was gonna say now. I mean, that's good that they still, you know what I mean? Still play the game and everything. It's just like, you know, more updated. Definitely no sacrifices now. So, I mean, that's good, you know? But, I mean, this was definitely interesting to learn about. It was fun to learn about, I will say. And as always, the animation was pretty good too, as always. This, you know. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you guys are new. Had to get a drink. I think that's it. Positivity is key. Motivation is key. Happiness is key. I will see you guys in the next video. You guys watch out for each other. I'll see you guys in the next one.